Sure.
And this weekend, Bo Nickel, tremendous. Do you agree with me that people, like if I'm Coker, if I'm Peter Murray of PFL, if I'm freaking Sean Shelby, that's his weight class, 85. Why aren't you signing this guy today? There's so few blue chip prospects in this sport.
Isn't this the like layup Coker signing? Hasn't it always been like the layup Coker, like unproven wrestler? He'll cut his teeth here in Bellator. Aaron Pico, you know, all these guys. Like this has been the Coker signing. I'm not sure why not, but yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not about to proclaim.
Can I tell you probably why it's not the layup that it is? Yeah. The UFC now wants these guys. Like there's plenty of places for these guys now. There's Fight Pass, there's Contender Series. A few years ago, the Pico days and whatnot, they were like, all right, we're not going to deal with this. We don't have as many platforms and shows and things to service. Now there's a million things. Like they want... Look up Bo Nickel's name. I was actually kind of blown away by this. The amount of articles on him on UFC.com under the Fight Pass banner were a lot. And so to have him fight it on Icon, on Fight Pass, is obviously not UFC, but it's the next best thing.
Yeah.
Better that than have him fight on Showtime. Better that than have him fight on a PFL undercard or on Fubo TV or on Amazon for one championship. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because if I'm one, one is trying to do American shows next year. They've just signed this deal with Amazon. Their first show, August 26th, is going to be in prime time. I'm signing Bo Nickel. Any guy that gets you this type of attention, his clip has over 1 million views.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they handle this because I think they could sign with someone today, and I'm pretty sure the promotion that he was talking about that said like you need a little more work was the UFC, and it's very clear that he wants to end up in the UFC as they all do and be the pound for pound champ. But he could probably get a pretty good deal right now if he signs, or they could play the waiting game and say, "No, we'll take a few more of these, gain some notoriety, some momentum, some money, and then maybe our stock will go up even more."
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll ultimately be what happens. No.
Yeah, but I'm just curious, does a Bellator or PFL who could use a name like him, because I feel like those are the main, maybe one, do they come out with a gigantic deal? Because I really do think his ceiling is massive. I really think he will live up to his hype and try to usurp, because UFC, the same thing as Kayla. Kayla wanted to be in the UFC, but their low offer made it very hard for her to justify it. Does a PFL or Bellator come out with a massive deal that blows UFC out of the water, and then he's almost forced to take that, or does the UFC come competitive with a solid deal as well? That's going to be the big question.
It's a bit of a risk. Not that I don't think you're. I think you're right that Bo Nickel is one of these prospects that like it's worth the risk, right? You want to be there, and you don't want to miss the boat. And there's rarely an opportunity where you're going to get a chance at somebody who's a blue chip prospect like this. But it is a risk, because if he's not, then you've made a Godfather offer and he turns out not to be the god. You know, he turns out not to be what you wanted. So there's a risk there, and I think the UFC can play the waiting game. Ultimately, even if they make an amazing offer, let's just call it what it is. They're really building him to be a UFC guy. That's what it becomes.
Right.
Right? Like when he was talking to you and you asked, where do you want to be? He didn't say UFC, but he said, where I need to be one of the top 5 pound for pound guys in the world. And he's not being ambiguous about it. His goal is to be in the UFC and to be that top tier fighter. So is it worth, if you're Bellator, PFL, ONE, anybody, is it worth your investment to build him up for the UFC?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
maybe
they
to
could
prove
keep him.
that
Look,
you can
Kayla could have left and she stayed.
Well, she tried, right?
Yeah, but she just got a deal that she couldn't turn down. So if they continue to come correct, then maybe they could keep him.
No, but I mean, like, she tried to leave PFL, right? Like, she tried to sign with Bellator.
Right. But not for the UFC. That would have been
not for the UFC. Not for the UFC. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a risk. I think it's probably a worthwhile risk. Who am I thinking of? Aaron Pico, maybe? Like, has talked about, look, Bellator took me in, gave me a shot. I'm super happy here. You could turn that around. You could have the next Aaron Pico. You could have the guy who's appreciative that you got in early, and are trying to build something with him and keep him for a long time. Or Bo Nickel could say, thanks for everything. I'm trying to be top 5 in the world, and I think I can only do that in the UFC. And that's what happens.
It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting.
But there's no doubt, right? Like, this is one of the brightest young prospects out there. Like, he has the wrestling tools, and if the hands come along, and I'm not putting too much stock into this knockout, it wasn't a high level opponent. But if the hands come along,
you still got to do it. You still got to do it. Like, I see people trying to discredit, saying like, that's my mailman or that's a truck driver.
Yeah,
you still got to do it. And especially in 33 seconds, it was another guy making his pro debut. He's going to be a better athlete than all these guys that he's fighting on he's a 3-time national champion. He's a Hodge Trophy winner.
We didn't used to see these fights. That's the difference, right? We didn't used to see these fights.
Yeah.
We didn't see the first 10 fights of John Jones' career. We didn't see these fights.
True.
Now we're seeing them for every single fighter. This is what they look like. Let's not pretend.
This is boxing.
This is to an extent. I think MMA is a little tougher, to be honest. I will say that, like, this is what they look like getting up to this level. There's no shame in that Bo Nickel win. He starts the dude, and that's what he's supposed to do. No, like, I'm not throwing any shade on that.
It won't happen, but I wouldn't be upset if he had 8 of these fights.
Absolutely.
He had 10 of these fights. It never happens.
What these look like.
He's probably going to go 2-3-0 and then sign one of these deals.
Yeah, I mean, the curve is steeper for him because of how talented he is and because of the name and because of the attention. Yeah, he's showing he has an opportunity now to show if he's the real deal. I would feel comfortable wagering that he is.
Who do you think had a better weekend, Bo Nickel or Cody Rhodes? I mean, did you see that bruise?
I did it.
You didn't see the bruise?
I saw the bruise.
The bruise was insane.
I didn't see the
You think the bruise was legit?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Makeup.
You're saying like makeup?
I don't know. I saw a lot of people say makeup. Everyone wants to call BS when it comes to wrestling. That thing, this guy.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
It would have rubbed off.
Yeah, I think he was hurt.
Hell in a Cell, tears his pec off the bone, as they say, shows up. His whole freaking pec is bruised. And then he goes through like a 25-minute match.
It looked like a torn pec, right?
That is
how that's supposed to look. So I would assume he was legit hurt. But
oh my God, that was incredible.
I'm gonna pick Bo.
All right. Let me ask you this question. I'm actually curious to hear what you say. Movsar Evloev, Aaron Blanchfield, Jeff Molina. Do either of those fighters become UFC champion? And if so, who first? Because I feel like all of them, people are saying, especially Movsar and Aaron, potential future champ there. All of them had wins on Saturday. That's the common thread here. Aaron Blanchfield, 23. I feel like people have been saying for a minute she's a potential.
I think Evloev is going to be a champion.
You think so?
Yep. I could see a world where Blanchfield is a champion too. I don't think it's while Valentina is still champion though. But I do think Blanchfield has the tools to be a champion as well. I think she's really good. Molina, I'm not as high as the other two, but
I do like him though.
I think he's super talented, man.
Yeah.
I could see a world where he's a champion too.
Especially it's just hard. See, the thing about flyweight is less, you know what I mean? That's why I include him in that.
It's hard though to match, like, he can't. I think Blanchfield and Evloev are further along. I'll say it like that. I think Molina has the tools. That dude is really, really talented. I think he has the tools. I think he has the team to one day be a champion. I can't see him fighting those guys at the top right now. Whereas Evloev and Blanchfield, I don't think they're far away, and I think they could be in that conversation sooner. But man, I don't see anybody at flyweight wrestling that belt away from Valentina. I think she's going to be one of those.
That's the thing that's stopping Aaron. I think what's helping Molina in this is that there's less competition at 25, although it's getting better. Movsar is legit be 16-0. Probably doesn't get the love that he deserves because none of his wins in the UFC, he has 6, have come via finish, all decisions.
Yeah, but
he's fighting tough guys. Dan Ige, Hakeem Dawodu, Nick Lentz.
He's not like a lay and pray guy. Like, no. He's an aggressive wrestler. I don't think his style is like what people would think of when they're thinking of like lay and pray, boring. Like, that dude's coming to hurt people, and he's really talented. Yeah, I think he's a future champ. I really do.
Shout out to the Tapology guys for that Askar Mozarov story where his record kept changing.
Was it Tapology? I thought it was Sherdog.
Oh, did I say that? Oh, shout out to the Sherdog guys. My bad.
Yeah.
I want to give credit where I thought it was Tapology. Was it not? Maybe
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Sherdog. They were the ones I saw pushing that story.
Shout out to them. I think it was Jay Petrie. Yeah.
Petrie.
Shout out to him. I saw a lot of talk about that, but yeah, that's a very bizarre story. In the end, he ended up losing to Alonzo Menefield. And how about Karolina Kowalkiewicz getting back? I did say she was sort of like, like our friend Dipperstein likes to say, H-Dow a Jace. I did say it. I said it was H-Dow. I mean, the problem is I'm starting to get a little gun shy, and that's why I feel
questioning yourself.
Well, I feel a certain way about this Haney situation. I haven't looked at the votes just yet. We'll end on that.
Feel? I mean,
but I did say, rewind the tape, Frank. I said on Monday, Karolina big underdog in this fight. I don't remember what it was, like +2 something. I like her last win.
Is that true? I didn't look at the odds. Is that true?
Yes.
Man, I would have probably been on that one with you.
Well, she had lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, against the best of the best.
Right. And her last win was against Felice, and it was
but coming back off a huge layoff.
Yeah,
like
injury.
Talking about maybe
retiring.
Retiring is in the cards. You missed.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Missed out.
Trust me, when she won, and then I was like, oh, watch this happen. Watch her win, and then Jersey.
I mean, I don't want to say it again, but for you, the strategy, what works seems to be with your heart.
The problem was Jairzinho came on. I got all fired up, and I was like, all right, let's go, Jairzinho. I cut a great promo for him.
I'm gonna give you an out here, not on the Haney thing.
Bad stoppage?
Because that's not bad stoppage, but that was a winnable fight for him. He got in that exact position he was in against Volkov. They were trading. They got into a firefight. He has the power. That's the fight that he needs. That's the type of fight. If Volkov just stayed on the outside and was just picking him apart, he has no chance in that fight. It's Volkov by decision. He got him into a firefight and he lost the firefight, but he could have won the firefight. That is the type of fight he needed. He needed to get into an exchange like that. It wasn't a bad H-Dow pick.
The worst part about this is now we're going to get 5 more Volkov main events. No one main events more than Volkov.
I'm okay with it. I like him.
He's fine, but like enough with the main events. Every 3-4 fights, or months, it's another Volkov main event.
UFC is like Vince McMahon in the sense that they love the heavyweight division, right?
They really love the heavyweight division.
They love headlining cards with heavyweights. They would rather headline with like lower ranked heavyweights than higher ranked lighter weight fighters. I'm okay with it. I don't have anything against the Volkov main event, but I will say we've gotten some subpar heavyweight matchups just based on that. Like heavyweights headlining a card is a thing.
Look, very rarely is he in a boring fight, win or lose, so I'll give him that. It just seems like every 3-4 months he's in a main event. And I would like to see a little variety
Put
here
some
and there.
Respect on Volkov's name.
I mean, come on.
I think I'll
seems like a lovely guy. I mean,
I think you're hurt, and that's okay. It's okay to be hurt right now. He ruined the streak. He kept the losing streak going. That's okay. I'll forgive this.
All right, let's go back to my vote here because I'm nervous. I'm looking at it right now. Over 1,000 votes.
And just be honest, because I'm not even going to look.
I'm looking. You can see it. It's on my Twitter. Does my Haney +110 decision H-Dow pick count? No, 49.5. Yes, 50.5. Frank?
Doesn't matter.
No!
Yes, Frank.
What the hell?
Yes, Frank.
Wait, here is accomplished, distinguished journalist, the great Aaron Bronstetter, my good friend. We always see eye to eye. Sticklers will say he wasn't an underdog, but the method of victory prop were underdog odds, and any other method of victory was technically the favorite. So it should count. Yes!
They're not underdog odds.
We fixed judging.
Do you want me to cut this into your infamous Rick?
Here's Jedi, who I'm not sure if he's on my side or not. He calls it the Helwani dog odds pick of the week. The H-Dow Pow.
People are getting fast and loose with the term underdog here.
Ty, the MMA guy, says, of course, remember the name Helwani. Shout out to Bilal.
Wait, Bilal said that?
Well, no, remember the name.
Oh, somebody else said remember.
He wrote, hashtag remember the name Helwani. Jason Gomez says, I don't know, man. You did pick Biggie Boy first, so do you get 2 week? Yes, my greatest week was Cheeto and Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to. Who said
we're not debating anything about Jairzinho. That was an L. We know this.
Oh, here's Callie Gooner, who says he bet 2 when it was Cheeto and Katie Taylor, but no one complained then. Not saying you're complaining, by the way. Just don't get the big stink about it generally. Thank you. Thanks, says No Way Jose. Haney, this is from Caleb, was a heavy favorite. It wasn't that big of a heavy favorite, by the way.
What was he, by the way? It wasn't, right? He was less than 2-1, wasn't he?
Yeah. A bet on him cannot be considered a dog pick regardless of the odds. No. Stop the steal, says one guy, not saying. I have no idea what that means. Of course it does. An underdog pick bet, says Trenton. Bailey says a plus money bet doesn't equal an underdog.
Yeah, that's correct.
Picking a favorite to win by their most likely method of victory, especially.
That's correct.
New York Rick's being a hater, trying to get revenge for you constantly roasting him for his Ronda Rousey comeback fighter pick. I thought it. I didn't want to say it.
There's no revenge needed. It stands the test of time.
Either way, he was the clear choice in this one. Definitely after Kambosos missed weight on the initial scale.
I don't agree with that. That I don't agree with.
That what?
That it was like, I don't think Devin Haney was like a no-brainer in this fight. I don't agree with that. I'm giving you credit.
I flew all the way to Australia. He was there by himself for the majority. His dad shows up like 8 hours before, which was great theater.
Anybody who's acting like this was like a foregone Haney conclusion, I definitely do not agree with that. Not at all.
By the way, the new undisputed lightweight champion on the show on Wednesday.
Ooh.
Mr. Haney.
You had him on Helwani show, right?
Yeah. But actually, it was request. He's like, he's champ now. He's got to come on the MMA. I was like, listen.
The champ says.
What Evan Korn wants, Evan Korn gets. You know Evan Korn?
Top ranked PR.
Yeah, he's the man. I love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that division.
Boxing is. I know you like to pretend like I don't know anything about boxing. Boxing is so great. Even Ryan Garcia retweeted me on Saturday night. My guy, King Ryan. He's going up against Javier Fortuna. What are you talking about? Tank versus Ryan Garcia, I think, actually does 1 million pay-per-views.
What?
Yeah. You think more? Tank.
No, you're trolling me, right?
Tank Davis.
Tank sells 200,000 pay-per-views, and now he's going to do 1 million?
That's going to be who's he selling? He's fighting Isaac Cruz. No one cares about these guys. Tank Davis.
Rolly was a fun fight.
Yeah, but
that he was losing.
But he wasn't. I mean, he's not a name. Ryan Garcia would be the biggest name that he's ever fought.
1 million? Come on.
I think it actually could do 1 million.
Fury, by the way, doesn't even do 1 million. You're
the all access would be huge. What do you think it gets? 500?
Stop it.
What do you think it gets?
Yeah, 500.
First of all, that would be a huge win.
Hey, listen, in the new pay-per-view climate, that's a big number. 1 million is...
UFC's doing 500 for pretty...
You're crazy.
Substandard cards. UFC's on fire on pay-per-view. Now, I know it's a totally different...
You're crazy if you think that does 1 million.
Tank Davis is such a big star. People love Tank.
Where are we getting this from? Is this... Oh, God, we're just doing this again. This is the Tommy Fury stuff all over again.
Oh, by the way...
Everybody's a huge star. Everybody's a star. Everybody's a star.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Who's a bigger star? Tank Davis or... Okay, who's a bigger star? Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia?
Ryan Garcia, for sure.
Let me just see. How many followers does Tank Davis have?
Well, here's what I would counter with that, actually. Tank Davis is a proven pay-per-view guy. And that is a calculated thing that they've been doing.
3.6 million.
That is he is a known pay-per-view quantity. Ryan Garcia isn't, right?
King Ryan, 8.8.
Yeah,
I wonder how many UFC fighters have 8.8 million followers.
Not a lot. That's like very rare. I don't think even like the Izzies and Kamarus have that. That's like the Conor and Habib. Now they're obviously ahead of that. But that's big numbers. Socially, there's no comparison. Ryan Garcia is a phenomenon. Who is he?
Yeah.
Socially, Ryan Garcia, no doubt. But to his credit, Tank is a guy who can sell pay-per-views, and that was a concerted effort by him.
Biggest crowd, by the way, at Barclays for a boxing when he fought Rolly.
Tank draws, but the draw is like we're talking like 200,000. And you're all of a sudden it's like five times that.
But by the way, as you know, sometimes it takes two to tango. Anderson Silva was not drawing anything. Then he meets Chael, and he's drawing 1 million.
Yeah,
I just think those two young guys together, the fan bases that they would reach, right? Gervonta, huge with the African American fans. King Ryan, huge with the Hispanic fans, and then you've got in the middle, you've got just the casual fans, right? Like the me's of the world.
I think
together, that's magic.
I think this is the same thing is the Tommy Fury thing. Those middle casual fans, I don't think they're buying Tank Davis versus.
By the way, who's he fighting? Jake Paul. You see
Great.
it? Called it.
Eddie Hearn saying he thinks that's going to happen.
I wonder how old Jake and Nikisa feel about Eddie Hearn breaking their news.
Well, he didn't say it's done, it's going to happen. He said, I think that's what's next.
But still, maybe not his news to break.
For sure. Listen, they're friends now. Him and Jake Paul are.
Honestly, I don't think they're friends, to be honest. I'm really curious to see. This is a whole other discussion, but I'm really curious to see what happens with the Amanda and Katie fight. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm opening up a whole other can of worms. You know what? If I'm the UFC, what I would do? If I'm the UFC right now, I call up my good friend Eddie Hearn and I say, like, this is your way to get back at those guys. Forget about Amanda rematch. Let me talk to you about a little co-pro, Katie Taylor versus Holly Holm, Croke Park. I'm Dana White. I'll say, all right, let's do a little Zuffa boxing action. Holly has one fight left. There isn't much to do with her at this point at 35. Like, who's she going to fight? Like, she's not fighting for the belt.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to resign her. She makes a pretty good amount of money compared to the other women. Let's do a co-pro. Let's cut those guys out. And let's do this at Croke Park. And I feel like from a historical standpoint, from a money standpoint, from a draw standpoint, from a MMA media coming over and cover, like, Holly versus Katie is sort of a dream matchup.
I don't hate this. I don't hate this at all.
Interesting.
And I haven't been a fan of your boxing ideas lately, but I don't hate this. Why do you say getting back? Just because Serrano and Taylor seems to not be on track, you mean?
Getting back. Oh, yes, because there have been reports that it's not a done deal.
Serrano's going to fight in August, and it seems like Taylor's going to fight after that.
Yeah. And when I say get back, I'm talking about like the feud that they have. You know, the Jake Paul Dana feud.
I don't hate it.
That's the best fight that Holly Holm could have in her career right now. Her fighting some random 35er at the Apex is nothing. Does nothing for her, does nothing for me, does nothing for you, does nothing for ESPN or UFC. Her fighting Katie Taylor and the UFC trying to make it happen while still under their umbrella is a nice little feather in their cap.
Here's the problem. Here's the one big problem. You do that, and now you have to give Francis Ngannou a fight against Tyson Fury. Yeah. You do that, and you have now opened the door. For all up until now, right? Until right this moment, it's been Conor forced it, and it was only Conor.
Right. Now you're opening.
You do this, and you've sunk the argument that you can't do this. It is now Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. No doubt has to happen. Look what you did for Holly Holm. Look what you did against Katie Taylor.
Is that the worst thing in the world? Because you get him for one fight, and if he somehow pulls it off, now you're in the Francis Ngannou business.
Well, I'll be honest. It seemed to me the last time you spoke to Francis, it seemed to me that this is what he wants.
Yeah.
He wants to fight the one fight with Tyson Fury and fight in the UFC. That was my read. That was what I took away from it. It seemed like he was leaning in that direction. So if you're the UFC, you could do worse than that. But again, you are now setting a precedent, right? Like the first time this happens is now the 100th time it happens. You are now opening that door for other fighters.
Do they care about that though? Does the UFC care about precedent? I remember one time I asked Dana White about step aside money, and I was like, well, there's a precedent, and he got so mad at me for asking about a precedent. With UOL, this was with Bisping and GSP.
It only matters for how much people will hold their feet to the fire. If they do this proposed Taylor Holm thing that you're talking about, Francis Ngannou will hold their feet to the fire. That's a guarantee. That fight now has to be.
But does he have to hold their feet to the fire? I mean, he can literally walk away.
They may want to do it. They may want to do that. But again, like now they're opening the door for that. And it may not necessarily be a bad door to open.
The thing is, when they did Mayweather McGregor, the lift was so light, they had nothing to do. All they had to do was show up.
Dana had to hype McGregor one or two times on the stage, and that was it.
He actually had a blast because I think he could be an old school boxing promoter where he was just backing one guy. Book that I'm reading, it's a very easy read, but it's a very enjoyable read that I recommend to any fan out there listening right now. I think it's only 175 pages. I'm halfway through, and I just started over the weekend. Mark Ratner's book.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. I love Mark Ratner. He's probably my favorite person at the UFC and has always been kind to me, and is just a legend, former Nevada State Athletic Commissioner. obviously now, VP of Regulatory Affairs. He's a Hall of Famer. He's the reason why MMA is legal in all these states. I didn't know this story, but he tells a story in the book that the week of the fight, Adi Attar, Conor's manager, went to his office and asked Mark to be the guy to oversee Floyd getting his hands wrapped in the locker room on behalf of Team McGregor. And as he said, he's like, usually, I'm in a commission role, this or that. But on this night, I was just, Team UFC. And so I could actually go there on behalf of Conor. And he said he was honored. It was just a really cool anecdote about his great career. This dude was going to like Joe Louis and Floyd Patterson fights back in the day. So anyway, just to say, like, they had nothing to do that night. The UFC just had to show up. They do a Holm Katie Taylor fight. They probably don't have a lot to do because it's a boxing. DAZN would air it or something like that. Maybe they even cut a deal and air it on Fight Pass.
I was going to say,
if they do Francis, ESPN is a pig in shit.
Yeah, I think it would be a little different this time. I think they'd want to be more. Look, I feel like last time, correct me if I'm wrong, their hand was forced, right? It was, Conor's going to get this done. The only way that we can get involved is to put our brand on it, let it happen.
I mean, no, they had to give him the okay. He was under contract. You know what it really was? It was perfect timing for them because it happened when they sold the company. And that was part of the reason why they wanted to do it, because here's a ton of money coming in and we don't have to really put anything up other than just like be in business with Conor. Great. And, you've heard Dana talk about this in several interviews. He was in a really bad place after the sale. Like, he didn't want the company to be sold. He had to lock himself in his hotel room, all this stuff. I think it was perfect timing because their biggest fight of the summer, by the way, same summer as UFC 200. No, sorry, it was the next year. But the biggest fight of the summer by far required so little lift for them after, they sold the company. It was just, it was perfect timing.
I think, I say all that to say, I think they will want to be more involved. I don't think they'll want to take a hands-off approach this time. I think they will be motivated to be more involved and make it happen. So yeah, I mean, listen, I'd watch it. I would watch it.
Holm versus Katie Taylor is must-see TV. Holm versus, name a 35er is just kind of her playing out the end of her contract.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wonder if she does, but I agree with that.
I think she does. Now that she knows that she can't win a belt, I think she does. By the way, can't wait for Tuesday morning fighting. How about that Inoue Donaire 2 fight? See, I got some
you're trying to flex your boxing?
Yeah, some boxing takes.
It is a great fight.
The current voting results are 50.8 say yes, 49.2 say no. I'm going to stop the count. I mean, there's nothing really else to say.
Listen, you're plastic. Should we get you one? A plastic belt?
I mean, I have one right here. Thank you.
No, that's not. How dare you? How dare you disrespect our friend Robert Pearson? That is not. There is no plastic involved there.
I will never forget the day that Frank didn't have my back. I mean, this could have been a perfect opportunity to just be like, yeah, I got your back, bro. No problem. And you left me hanging.
I'm not a yes man.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
He's on the side of justice. He's on the side of truth and honesty. And
you also just laughed at your own joke, Frank. I mean, you should have gone silent there.
That was Yoon, actually. She started tackling. Yeah.
You can't open the mic, say something, and then laugh at your own joke. It just doesn't have the same kind of effect. I thought he was going to say something back.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say something.
Cat got his tongue. All right, well, there you have it. So your official ruling is we're still on a losing streak.
Of course.
My official ruling is we're back, baby. We're back, and we're currently eyeing Glover Ioana. Yes.
Is that how you want to do it? Is that what you really want?
Listen, a win's a win's a win. Okay, let me ask you this.
Is that what
when Kai Kara-France wins on July 30th, if he wins, tough fight, you think he's going to throw that belt off to the side?
There's two different types of guys.
No.
Justin Gaethje famously, didn't want it. No, I don't, because to your point, like it represents a lot of money. Do I think? I'll say this: I don't think he'll feel like it's whole until he fights Davison Figueiredo.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm not going to retire. I'm not done. I just needed this win to get my mojo back. I was thinking about it. It is crazy that I went that many in a row and then I just can't get,
It's
back.
almost like this betting thing is a little bit random and a little bit.
For me, especially. I mean, 2 years ago, I didn't even know what plus 110 meant.
I'll say that. You know what? Listen, I've done nothing but give you credit, but
Yes.
I am sticking to the rules here. But I will give you credit. Your betting knowledge has come a hell of a long way from when we used to talk about this years ago.
I honestly disagree with you.
What do you mean?
What the hell do I know?
You to what you just said, you literally didn't even know what
Okay,
plus and minus meant.
Right. But there are guys, I when I hear, these dudes, like I hear Conor speak about it, it's a different type. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Not comparing yourself to Conor.
I mean, what is he?
There's
Plus 40
levels,
units.
as Corey Anderson says. There's levels.
There's levels. I'm feeling pretty good. To me, the biggest problem is when you talk to a lot of people is you overthink things. So someone will tell me something about someone and I'll be like, oh, this, that.
For sure.
As opposed to it's right there in front of you.
Yeah. No, there's something to that. The simplicity is key. Are you going to make an official pick or are you just going to
No, I saved that for Wednesday.
Oh, you're not even going to make one?
You got to keep the people
last Monday
guessing.
or...
No, it was Wednesday. He was on.
Wednesday?
Yeah, he was on Wednesday. I can't give it away on a Monday. I need them to come back on Wednesday.
Wow.
Are you coming in on Wednesday?
No.
So no one's going to be here with me. I'm going to be all alone.
Yeah.
But you'll join the Zoom, right, Eric?
I'll be on Zoom.
It feels like it's hit or miss, the Zoom thing right now. Sometimes
you're
on
a microphone thing, but that's
has it been
resolved.
rectified?
You gotta talk to Frank over
Has it
here.
been rectified?
Oh, it's totally fixed.
It's fixed?
Oh, yes.
Okay. At the beginning of the day when I was in the back, I said, you know what, guys? I feel like there's a chance we might end this show at 3:30. It's not 3:30, but it's a nice tidy 3 hours. I'll tell you who'd be happy about this.
Who?
Christina Douglas and Glenn Jacobs.
Oh, come on. No, they really wouldn't. This is 2 hours
This
running.
is actually too. This is too long.
Come on.
Mike Foss, shout out. All right.
Mike will want the content.
Yeah, you say go 3 more hours. All right. Thank you very much, New York Rick. Appreciate your time. There he is, New York Rick, the pride of Long Island, kind enough to join us.